Hi friends, let's see who's coming online. Welcome to this Turin Epicurean 2020 chat. Today we're talking gelato and we need to wait a couple of minutes. There we go. There we go. Village in Leicester, UK.
Hello.
Hello guys, welcome.
Welcome to the Gelato.
So I'm going to do a little introduction so that everyone can understand who we are and what's going on. So this is a Turin Epicurean capital IG chat because due to COVID, the 7th edition couldn't happen in Torino. And so we decided to go live and to stream it and share with everyone all around the world. And so today our topic is gelato, and we are online with Gelato Village in Leicester, the UK, with Antonio and Daniele.
Hello.
And please introduce yourself, tell us who you are and what you do.
Hello, I'm Antonio. Just to be short, I thought Antonio here. I'm the 50% of Gelato Village, so I'm more in charge of looking after the recipe of the gelato and making the gelato. So I work mainly in the lab. And here we have
Daniele. Yes, hi. Nice to meet you. Yes, I'm the other 50%, more in charge of front of the house staff, a bit of admin, you know, all the bits and pieces that go behind the managing of a gelateria.
Yeah, obviously we're both from originally from Italy, in Piedmont, Turin for Daniele, and I'm more from the Canavese area, so north of Turin. And we decided to move into the UK in 2003. And then after several things, we then decided to start this venture in Gelato Village in 2014. Yeah. So.
Okay,
Yeah.
so basically, you're experts with know-how and a big passion that we share because I'm a big gelato consumer. I can, you know, there is this commercial say, take everything away from me but gelato. That's the same for you. And the first question that I'm going to be asking you, because you're the experts here, is what is the difference between gelato and ice cream? Because when you look up in the dictionary, it says gelato ice cream, but it's really not the same. And in the US, they also have custard, frozen custard, that it's another recipe. So can you please summarize the main differences?
Yes. So although there is no official difference between the two, so it could be considered just a translation between Italian and English. Actually, if you want to be precise, we know that if you are talking about ice cream normally, you automatically consider a higher fat content compared to the gelato. Another main difference is the method of production. So ice cream is churned much faster, so incorporates a higher amount of air, and it's normally served as a much lower temperature, so it's colder. Compared to gelato, which is churned much slower, the traditional method of mantecazione, so it's churned slower, has got a lower fat content, and is served at a slightly warmer temperature. So if you want to be absolutely precise, these are the differences.
Yes.
Obviously, it's hard to tell if somebody is referring to a gelato and is actually selling an ice cream or the other way around. That depends how good the producer is in communicating the quality of the product and what it is.
It has to be said that for marketing purposes, let's put it that way, gelato being an Italian word is more fancy, you know, it's more exotic. So for the British or North American market, it just sounds nicer, you know. So instead of calling it ice cream, we call it gelato, but we sell exactly the same thing. Unfortunately, as Antonio said, there's no legislation, and also certainly there's no world legislation
Well, actually, the only legislation in place is in the USA.
Yes.
So the American market is much more precise. So you cannot, by law, sell an ice cream and call it gelato, or the other way around. Anywhere else in the world is a bit gray area, but that's
yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, it's the same for Italian speaking English. When they want to say gelato, they say ice cream.
Exactly.
So, you know, I quite insist on keeping the word gelato simply because it's a specific product, just like you do. Okay. So now I just want to connect to what you were saying about the temperatures and the textures. But because it reminds me of the origin of gelato, because the gelato basically comes from Sicily, right? Because it's the people who were invading Sicily from Northern Europe that actually invented it to quench, let's say, the very hot Sicilian summers. And this explains why the gelato temperature is warmer than the ice cream, like Antonio said, right? So it's quite a picturesque detail. But let's go back to your own gelateria. Now, what makes it unique? I mean, when people come to buy your gelato and they do not, because you are actually playing a very important educational service too to your community. What is, let's say, the three main important things that they learn?
The three main important things that they learn. That's interesting. Well, let's see.
Well, you can talk about the authenticity.
Yes.
Sorry.
No,
I mean, the way we present.
Yes.
Look, first of all.
I mean, certainly the design of this gelateria, of Gelato Village, is a very modern, how can I say, take of an Italian gelateria nowadays, you know. So we try to portray ourselves into the modern Italy and what a modern gelateria looks like compared to what it may have looked like 50 years ago or 60 years ago. So that is already very important. Certainly, the way we make our gelato, maybe Antonio wants to add something on that, you know, in terms of the ingredients. From what concerns the front of the house, so the staff that serve the gelato is about engaging with the customers in a kind of Italian way, you know, a bit, you know, not flirting, certainly doing something that an ice cream parlor wouldn't do normally, which is giving a taster, you know. It's like, try this.
Samples, yes, samples, yeah.
Yeah, so samples are very, very important to what we do, and that's part of the education.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Yes, we have something very, very clear in mind since we opened the doors of our gelateria, is authenticity in every aspect, from the design to the way we serve the gelato, and of course, from the way we produce the gelato. So even when we have to choose the name of the gelato we are serving, we are very strict. So because we want to remind everybody that it's an authentic product, exactly as you would find in Italy in a genuine gelateria. So we are talking about stracciatella, we are talking about gianduja. We don't have the classic traditional ice cream or gelato flavors you might find in the ice cream parlor here in the UK.
Okay, and this is the point.
A lot of explanation, of course.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what I wanted to talk about. Okay, so you say, number one, the names are the same as in Italy, so stracciatella and gianduja that are typically right? Just to mention two. Yeah. Then the other thing is the seasonality, right? Yeah. Because you cannot have strawberry gelato all year long, because the strawberries are not produced all year long in a natural way. And then the other thing is the selection of the ingredients, right? Yeah. So could you please talk a little bit about these three things. So what is the philosophy of making gelato that you are following?
Okay, so in a nutshell, when you want to make gelato, you can do pretty much whatever you want. Okay, of course, you have to follow some principle in the recipe design, but the ingredients you're going to choose is up to you. So you can literally choose whatever you want. So the way we do it, and we are responsible for our own recipe, is just using 100% natural ingredients. And as you said before, following the season. So we are very strict on having the fruit when it's at its best. We don't use frozen fruits. Even if there is a request, we have people asking for strawberries in December, but we say, I'm sorry, you have to come back in June because we only use fresh fruit. The reason for this is because we believe the strawberries are much more strawberry in June than frozen strawberries.
Flavor is much.
Or strawberries are coming from the other side of the world in December. When we use the milk, we only use fresh milk, we only use fresh cream, and not only fresh milk, but we go and source our milk from a farm just a few miles from here. So this is the basic of anything we do. Whenever we design a new recipe, these are the principles we follow.
I need you to mention that farm where you get the cream and the milk and the cows, because we cannot forget about the animals, please.
No. Yes. So at the moment, I think there's something important to say here that would explain or open up, you know, the view for our followers here. Is that, well, at the moment, our farm is called Vine Farm. We went, of course, many times in Leicestershire. So in this area, it's 30 miles away. We went to see the cows, we went to see the fields. You know, it's all open pasture, so they are happy to go. And in the evening they come back and they are milked, and then they go out again. And so, you know, very, very happy cows. You know, free to do whatever they want. So as Antonio said, that goes for the milk, of course, which is the main ingredient for gelato. The fruits, local fruits when possible. It's not that there's many fruits growing in Britain, as you know, because of the latitude, but, you know, berries especially are great at this latitude. So we use, we make the most of them. Going back to milk, this is now the third farm that we changed. And I'm saying this not because we were not happy. We had to change it because the farmers find it so difficult, so hard nowadays to run a farm in a way that is sustainable, even financially. You know, people have to make a living out of this, out of their work, that sometimes they have to shut. So the previous farmer, or like the previous farmer, they were too old, so they needed to retire, and unfortunately, there is nobody to pick up what they done or what they left.
Or they have contracts with big companies, so they can only supply their milk they produce to those big companies, and are free to make a profit from their own milk.
So yeah, the philosophy of Gelato Village is not just for Gelato Village, but is also in trying to help and support the local producers. The main one, as we said, is the milk producer. You know, we clearly pay their milk more than a fair price, which is more than what they would get paid by the big companies that, you know, make.
Yeah, but you pay for the quality.
We pay for the quality. We're happy for it. Our milk is only pasteurized to make it safe to be transported to our premises, and so it retains all the flavors, all the character, everything. You know, if
the nutrients,
how they've been eating, which kind of grass they've been eating. So the fat level changes slightly during the season, and so on and so forth. And we are very happy to do that. It's part of what we are, what we do.
Okay, please. So, the origin, we were saying not only the origin, but the quality also of the origin of the ingredients, right? Yeah. Because one important aspect of your production is also the ethics right, that is behind the production of the single ingredients and the way that the single ingredients are produced, right? Because this is all part also of the slow food movement, right?
Indeed.
Yes, we are a slow food supporter in UK. And although slow food, unfortunately, is not that widely known in the UK at the moment, hopefully will be in the future. But since we opened again, that was our clear, let's say, mission, as to be part of the big family of slow food. And in a way, it reflects the way we work. So from the milk, from this, as you said, sourcing of the ingredients.
Well, another ingredient, for example, is the local honey.
Yes.
So we have a local honey. It's called the bee farmer. And it's a local honey producer, Leicestershire honey producer. So he has his apiaries spread around fields in the county, and you know, we sell his honey in jars, but also we use bigger pots to make samurai gelato as one of the ingredients. And he's also a slow food member. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, following the slow food, let's say, philosophy, you are selling a local gelato production.
Much as we can.
So you have two aspects. You have two things. It's the Italian tradition, but with the local ingredients, right? So how do the two merge? Because these are two concepts that are hard to be conveyed outside of Italy. The strong sense of belonging to the locality and also to the seasonal production. How does that translate for you?
All of this is pretty much hard work.
It's an ongoing thing.
Because I'm saying this because for two reasons. One, because probably I don't want to be anyway, in the UK, the food culture still has a long way to go, and we're happy to be part of it and try to educate people. But also because, specifically, the gelato has got a reputation, still very linked with the mass-produced methods, with the use of chemicals, with the use of artificial flavorings and so on. So it's difficult to make people understand that it's absolutely possible to make gelato in a completely natural way, highlighting the good of the ingredients we're using. And it could be a completely balanced food that you can have. You can have a meal with gelato, as long as you use the right amount of sugars, the right amount of fats, and the good ingredients. So this is a big cultural shift that needs to happen specifically regarding about gelato.
I mean, not that in Italy everything is perfect, because our colleagues sometimes, you know, they tell us the same stories, like we hear here, for example, now strawberry season. How many times, both in Italy and to us, people say, "Oh, but this strawberry, they got the peeps." Well, you just go, well, that's because we use strawberries, you know, we don't use a strawberry syrup. It's the real one, so it's got the peeps. On the flip side, I would say that if there's anything, well, a very good aspect of gelato making in a country that is not Italy is that gelato is the perfect conveyor of the Italian tradition of gelato making. So we make gelato following the Italian traditional method and the use of local ingredients. So, you know, even more than pizza, because with pizza you can put pineapple on pizza, but it doesn't make it really, maybe it makes it a bit more American, I don't know, but it's not that pineapple is local to America, if you know what I mean. Here, with gelato, you can use local ingredients and make something, you know, you can make a gelato with beer, or we made a gelato with Stilton cheese, or other things, or rhubarb, or things like that, you know. So gelato really is the perfect mean to marry these two aspects, you know, the local culture, the local heritage. Well, also Leicester, for example, has a very large Asian, Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi population. So, you know, mango, we do something with saffron, we do something, you know, so all these flavors, cardamom, the use of spices and things like that, which is great. And the traditional method of doing it, which is Italian. So,
sorry, I hope you
So
don't
it's the
mind.
best.
We're just having.
we're just going to have some gelato when we're talking. Sorry, I know you're going to be very generous.
Lucky you. So I see the little waffle. I see the little waffle there. And what else? Yeah,
Okay,
that's
cool.
all, man.
I'm having a pot of fior di latte. So, as we said before,
Oh, it's my favorite.
we are not calling it vanilla, although it's a plain gelato, but there's no vanilla in this gelato. Fior di latte, roughly translated, means the flower of the milk, the blossom of the
Yeah,
milk.
because it's the heavy cream.
Is the milk, okay? So because our milk is very good, we want, as is done in Italy, we want to showcase the milk. So when you have this gelato, you can really taste how good the milk is.
It's not very common and easy, unfortunately, for a gelato maker to have the luxury of having the milk coming from a single farm. Even in Italy, I don't know, many of our colleagues, yes, they might use very high quality milk, absolutely, but I haven't heard many having the milk coming from specifically from a single farm.
Yeah.
So you can, technically, you could identify the milk if you only use that milk. It's got its own and unique flavor that you can still appreciate, especially in the fior di latte, where there is no other flavors involved. So this is really the invention for the milk.
Yeah, I think in Turin, in the area, we might have many true farms where they have the animals and they also produce the gelato, and that's it, because usually the producers are all sending their milk to be pasteurized to the center. And so then everything is blended. Yeah. Now, let's go back to your gelateria, and because you were showing the waffle, what other
we call it wafer. Yeah, this one here. Sorry.
Are you calling it a wafer? Yeah.
That's okay.
So, look, there's your logo too there. There's your logo. What other Piedmontese brands and products are you selling there? Because you have a little oasis of Piedmont and Turin in Leicester. Because you have like, not only in the gelato, because for example, you make the passito di Caruso, right? As a flavor. And the passito di Erbaluce di Caruso is a super tiny production that is extremely high quality. It's, I think, Erbaluce di Caruso is the only Italian DOCG wine that comes DOCG in 4 variants, and you're using the resinated one for your gelato. But that's not the only product from our locality here in Italy. You have other products, because you have, as you said, gelato parlor, but people can also have an espresso, right?
Yes.
You also have the coffee, yes.
So, okay, it's my turn. Yes. After some research, let's put it this way, over the years since we opened, we then got in touch with a very close producer to our hometown, which is Vergnano, which comes from Chieri, Sant'Ena. So we are able now to offer also a proper Italian espresso. That is again something really hard to find in Britain. A proper Italian espresso. It's not, you know, there are kind of let's put it this way, imitations. And to Italians, usually there's just too much, it doesn't taste right, and all that. So we wanted to keep it in tradition, and we make the proper Italian espresso. So if you come to Gelato Village, you have a coffee, you have an espresso like you would have in Turin, or in Italy anyway. Yeah, so Vergnano is useful in this sense because it brings over that flavor.
At the moment, we're trying to have available a selection of products from Altalanga. Altalanga is a producer of organic hazelnuts. So you have a whole range of products all made with hazelnuts, from chocolate to spread creams to hazelnuts, toasted hazelnuts.
Coated.
Anything. Occasionally we have biscuits and pastries. Anyway, we are trying to connect with producers specifically from Piedmont, trying to bring over here artisan products from Piedmont. It's not always very easy, not only to find the producers, but also here to explain what it is and try to make people appreciate it.
Yes.
It's a corner of our activity, let's say.
But that said, you know, there's the funny aspect of, for example, of shipping pasta di meliga, which are very delicate and very, you know, they break like glass. Is that then you make passito di Caluso and pasta di melica gelato. That's it. You know, so.
The passito di Caluso is a kind of homage to my area, so coming from Canavese, so that's why I choose it. Although we like it, and so it's also the way to support a very small producer in Caluso. And
yes,
again, it's part of the education, and you know.
Yes. No, but I mean. I think I've also seen on your accounts that you also have the candies, right? You have Pastille Leone, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Still have at the moment.
Yes, we have still at the moment. Again, there is a bit, you know, there's been changes in the shipping, but we should be able to get them back. So again,
well, but that's part of.
We try hard.
That's part of your game. Things are seasonable and they come and go according to the shipping times and the production.
But those were very popular. The Pastille Leone were very popular.
Well, of course, because those are candies that were born as medicines. And so, you know, when instead of getting a regular pill, you can just get a candy, who wouldn't want it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So let's go back to your gelato. So you have gelato and you have sorbetto or sorbet. What is the difference between the two?
Yeah, okay. Quite simply, the difference between gelato and sorbetto is that gelato is milk-based, so it's a dairy product normally, and the sorbetto is water-based, so absolutely dairy-free. Having said that, with sorbetto, normally people think, okay, sorbetto is always made with fruit. Not necessarily. You can have a sorbetto that is made with pistachio, almonds, anything if you like. So at the moment here, for example, my little cup, I'm having my preferred combo, which is raspberry and dark chocolate.
Ooh, that's so good.
It's terrible combination.
No, I love it.
So dark chocolate is the Sur del Lago chocolate from Venezuela. And raspberries from here, from Nottinghamshire, they are absolutely gorgeous. And together, I think is the best match. I really like it.
Yeah, again, chocolate responsibly grown and sourced by one of the big, well, not one of the big, but, well, I can say the name is Domori. So Domori is from None.
Again, in Piedmont.
Again, in Piedmont, but their way of sourcing the chocolate and the quality and the care for the farmers at the other end of the world is great. So, yeah.
So so normally we have two, for example, again, a difference between sorbetto and gelato. We tend to have normally two chocolates always available in the counter. One is the milk chocolate, so for those that like the combination of chocolate and milk, and one is the dark chocolate. Sometimes we change the kind of chocolate we use, so slightly change of taste, but you can have both. Dairy-free, so also vegan-friendly, and etc., and the milk chocolate. So
how does your day work? over there? Meaning, because you're talking about getting the freshest ingredient. And Antonio is often posting that he's coming with, you know, the big batches of strawberries or fruit. So do you personally go and pick and choose the strawberries? How does that work?
This is difficult to explain because, well, of course, we are never happy about the ingredients. So we really want to find what we are looking for. That means looking for a long time and sometimes not having it available. At the moment, everything is even more difficult because due to the COVID, some of the suppliers may have stopped shipping the goods or they charge more. So it's everything up in the air. But generally speaking, yeah, when we find the producer, we just grab it.
Well, certainly, you know, some for the strawberries, for the berries, for example, there is a supplier in Nottingham, which is not far away, and they get some of the best berries around the country here in Britain. So, you know, northern Britain, sometimes Scotland. So they are our preferred supplier for those kind of fruits and other things, other little things as well when they are available. Otherwise, for example, for lemons, when we get the Amalfi lemons, we got in touch with the producers over there. We went to see and visit, you know.
Whenever possible, we go
and see what happens. And then you start this relationship and they ship the lemons to us and we know what we get because we see them, you know. Of course, it's not something we cannot go to the Amalfi Coast every day, unfortunately. But yes,
we've been once. It was very nice.
Yes.
But I was peeking through the screen and I see your how we call it, a serving bar, right, where you keep the cylinders, right? Now, now one of the most common questions, at least of my students coming from North America, is how do you know? Yeah, exactly. Those we can see the leads. How do you know when gelato is artisan and it's not industrial, and when it's good quality and when it's not freshly made? Because let's say the people who have an eye for the gelato, people with a passion, big consumers, with your, you know, personal taste, you actually recognize it by the eye, first of all, and then by the lick, you can tell if it's industrial or not. But how can you kind of streamline it? Because especially tourists, they love to see these mounds of colorful gelato, and that's a big no-no, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I mean, that is, you said it, the three of them, which anybody can really recognize. You know, too much coloring, which is not natural, not artificial. This is one of the, let's call it, it's not a problem, but it's one of the characters of our gelato, for example. In winter, it tends to go really brownish, you know, many variations of brown, because there's a lot of chocolate and creams and yellow for the cream, etc. But the fruits, you know, maybe there's pear, but again, it's a very mellow color. It's not this, you know, it's not pink or very bright. So that is one thing. Strong coloring, blue, green, yellow. That's big no-no. Immediately, that is no-no. Big mountains can only stand in any display cabinet without the lids like ours, because there's a lot of hydrogenated fats. You know, there's no fridge in the world that will be able to keep frozen all that amount of gelato without the help of some chemicals. Okay? It's not possible, because an open cabinet with those mountains can only refrigerate by pushing a lot of cold air. But as you can imagine, on a sunny day where there are 30 degrees outside, you know, that is not technically possible. Not even if you. And
also, you want to look for those artisan producers make small batches.
Yes.
So the gelato is always fresh, because we don't have to forget the gelato is a fresh product. Yeah. It's not, although it stays in the freezer minus temperature, but it doesn't last forever. It deteriorates quite quickly if it is done without any artificial. So it's exposed to the elements, and the sooner you eat it, it's like fresh bread. You should eat it as soon as it's made. If you have huge quantities, endless number of flavors, 40,
48, 56 flavors.
It's impossible to keep that product fresh because you just don't have the turnover, even if you are very busy, to shift it and have it fresh all the time. So that's already another indication.
So, and then, you said it. The others, you said, the taste. It should never leave your mouth coated with something, greasy.
Non-pleasant in your mouth.
And aligning in your mouth that then impairs your ability to taste whatever comes after. And it should disappear, Half an hour is gone.
Another golden rule for me is, okay, when you taste it, and you have, for example, hazelnut gelato, ask yourself, stop a minute and ask, does it actually taste of hazelnut or something else? Because most of the times, if you stop and think carefully, it might be something else. So think about hazelnut, a real hazelnut, and then try to find it in your mouth.
That's so true, because I find that even in Turin, where we have plenty of hazelnuts, the gelato that is sold as hazelnut instead just tastes like walnut. And you can tell because the hazelnuts are more expensive than the walnuts. So, and just like the very green, like the highlighting green pistachio, that's really not containing any pistachio, because the real pistachio, like the gelato, is not of that fluorescent green. So it's not a natural color. Probably the only, let's say, artificial gelato flavor is the Smurfs one, because it's really not made with any Smurfs, because Smurfs cannot be killed, right? They have to be protected. And I'm an expert of that one too, because I used to be a big consumer of that flavor, because it made me happy to see that color. But anyway, so to finish, because we just want to summarize what we said. So people need to come to your Gelato Village in Leicester, the UK, because you are the #1 ambassador of our locality in northwest Italy, that is Piedmont, Piemonte, and Turin, or Torino as we say in Italian. This is the main thing. And then what are the other 3 good reasons?
Oh gosh.
Well, they can come to Leicester, which is, at the end of the day, is a pretty city. We have next door is resting the remains of Richard III. Yes. It's a pretty town. You can wander around and shop. The countryside is beautiful, and not many people actually know it. They really love it. You can have a nice gelato. You have a nice coffee. If you're looking for the perfect espresso, it's here. You can have a chat with us. Yes.
No, but I mean, let's go into the gelato, because I mean, gelato, can be fully enjoyed and totally appreciated at breakfast, and lunch, for snack, dinner, and after dinner. So, everyone needs to, so they need to get a sample of all the flavors they can, because this is something that we normally do in Italy. This is #1. #2, maybe try the flavors that you only make, right? Like gianduja, stracciatella, right? What else? We mentioned the gelato with erbaluce wine and the cornmeal cookies, pasta di melica, right? And then what are other 2 kinds or 3?
We like to play with our connection with Piemonte, but also with the connection here So, for example, another successful flavor is actually the mango lassi. So we have fantastic mangoes here we can source in Leicester. So mango in yogurt. We also have our signature, let's say, gelato, which is Richard III. So it's made with a rose blossom infusion and fruit of the forest. Yes. Apparently, it's very popular. And maybe by the time somebody's here, we might have something new.
Yes,
it's constantly renewing the selection.
Yeah, because to finish our live, we have to highlight the fact that not only you follow the season, not only you follow what's available in your locality, but also in Italy, but you constantly explore new flavors and new techniques also, because according to the change of the ingredient, even though you have a specific machine that you use and like the know-how is that one because you got trained properly, then still you renovate, you constantly research and develop new recipes, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So basically, people gotta come constantly and get maybe a small
they will
quantity.
find always something different to try, certainly.
Yeah. And every visit is a new experience, right?
Indeed. Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. And ultimately, I just want to say at the end, one final word, because you have a Dachshund, the gelato dog, Baffo, and he's often in the shop, right, welcoming the customers. Yes. So for the dog lovers, you can put the two loves together, the gelato love and the doggy's love, and you can always
Yes, they can come here. We have some customers that offer our fior di latte plain gelato to their dogs. So, and it's perfectly safe for them. They're very happy. Everybody's happy, even the dogs.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, guys, thank you so much for having been online. As you know, we would have been in our historic theater here in Turin, but unfortunately, we're all stuck at home. And we had to make the best of it. And thank you for sharing your gelato philosophy and gelato production. And I will see you next time.
Thank you very
much.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Ciao, everyone.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.